Hi everyone, happy Saturday. I'm having to do a voiceover on this because I was having microphone issues and I finally figured out what the problem was. So it might be a little disjointed, but my audio didn't save. I have not been buying a lot of books lately, however, I did pick up these two and wanted to share those today. And then at the end of the video, I'll just give a real quick, I guess, overall quick life update. I am contemplating doing a color and chat, but it really just depends on what mood I'm feeling at the moment. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my cat's in a sneezing fit. Leroy, well, at least he sounds a little clearer. Leroy's been sick. But we will see. We will see how that goes. So the first book I'm going to show you is by Kameliya Angelkova, 50 Joyous Miniatures. It's, probably mostly like a holiday type book, though there are images in here for like New Year's and kind of wintry scenes. So obviously could color in this any time of the year. And I know I have so many of her books, and I really love this first image. If anything, I'll probably color it similar or to the cover image just because I think it's really pretty. I love the red panda. And I do love her miniature books. I like her miniatures. Like, this is a miniatures book, but it's also kind of like it's got a little bit more of like a scene behind it too, which I like as well. Definitely love her books that have like just the characters and a few little pieces of background, foreground with them. But I feel like her newer books have a little more with them, which I enjoy. And yeah, I like I said, I need to make sure and make a note. I think this puts me with my last flip through at 9 books. I have like a book in, book out system, so I am going to have to purge a little bit from my collection and make sure I do that. That is a really cute picture. I love the penguins with the lights. But I need to remember to do that because I didn't do it with the other books I got. I think there's one more. There might be like a Deborah Muller book I want to pick up. But I don't know if I'm going to do it before the end of the year or in January. We'll just kind of have to see how things go. But this will probably be the last books I get for a while. Mostly just because I am not really coloring right now, which I guess I can talk about while I flip through these. But no, I mean I'll put that I guess at the end. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I feel very disjointed. And it's also weird because I just haven't been doing a lot of videos, and as someone who's been doing this for 7 years now, is that right? If I take a break from a month or two and I come back, it feels kind of like I did when I first started. It feels awkward and weird. I like that one with the little snowflake. Like I said, you have the garland, but like you could make that any time of year. But yeah, part of my problem is I'm sick. My husband, it probably started when my husband took Leroy to the vet last week, not this past week, but like the week before, because he had been throwing up on and off a couple months. He does have pica or whatever you call it, where he eats like random stuff. So my concern was he had ingested something that was causing issues. Obviously, worried about. I love this one because I like Christmas holiday pictures on like islands. I think that's, if I'm going to color Christmas holiday stuff, that's like one of my favorite things to color. Because I guess it's the juxtaposition. At least those of us in the northern hemisphere are so used to like Christmas when it's winter and cold. Those in the southern hemisphere, of course, have, holidays in their kind of summer. So, and I like the juxtaposition of that. And, my brain is rebellious enough that if I lived in Australia, I probably would like the ones with the winter look because it's just different. It's different than what I'm used to. But no, they went, and he also has had liver infections before. He's had a couple other things that's going on. So I just wanted to rule out. After Bagheera passed, he was struggling a little bit. I, was surprised at that, but I wanted to make sure, and I love this picture with the flowers. I wanted to make sure it wasn't anything health wise, and so I wanted them to do an x-ray and then also blood work just to check his liver. And it all came back clean. Plus, he's been over grooming himself a lot, I'm assuming due to stress. And he's not like bald or anything, but I was worried all that had gotten like backed up in his system, even though I've been trying to treat as needed with hairball meds. So, fortunately, he was all clear. But unfortunately, I think him and my husband picked up something because my husband started feeling bad Monday or Tuesday and felt so bad that he stayed in bed and most of the time in red for like a couple days, which is a pretty big deal for my husband because he's not one to lounge around. Um, and he's just now today, I think, getting to the point where he feels more normal. Um, but right about that same time, a couple days later, at least, Leroy started sneezing, and his that poor guy, he is like completely clogged up in his nose, and we didn't want to drop him off because he tends to get very nervous. He's a very nervous, fragile type cat mentally. Probably physically as well at this point, the way I'm talking about him. You wouldn't think about it looking at him because he looks very sturdy. I love this picture, by the way. All the ones where they're like sewing or knitting, and I love owls. I love the little hats on her ears. I think that's adorable. Um, but we didn't want to drop him off because I knew that would just make him feel worse, and so we waited for an appointment where we could actually take him in today, and I have to be careful with him too because he has stomatitis. In his mouth. If you're familiar with that, it's like an autoimmune type of response where, well, I'll put a pin in that for the moment. But here are some of the other books she has. I think I was saying I only have Spellbound Woodland Scenes in the Spellbound series. Honestly, I would love all these books except for maybe the houses books, just because I don't like coloring buildings. But I just don't have room. I've got to finish some of her books before I do others. And I was making such good progress with her Countdown to Halloween book. And then day 15, I did. And then everything went crazy after the middle of the month in October. And it's not, I'm still not back to normal. I also had pre ordered this, which is A Million Hugs and Kisses by Lulu Mayo, and that is now released, so I figured I'd show you this one. So I love the art in the Lulu Mayo books. I am struggling with using water mediums in these books. A picture I colored last year or the year before, I used King Art gel crayons, and I had water activated them, and it kind of left kind of a granulated look on the paper, which wasn't what I wanted. I wanted like a smooth base to shade over. And I thought it was the gel crayons. And so I was like, okay, these just don't work in these books. However, I colored using the gravy watercolor, like little pocket sets. I used the landscape ones on a picture I was working on in October, and it did the same thing. So I'm thinking that unless it's like watercolor pencils or maybe water based markers, that I might be better suited if I'm going to use watercolor or anything like that, anything where I'm activating it with a lot of water. I might want to pre treat the paper in her books because they just don't seem like they like getting wet. So, just a note from my experience, I do need to use my water based markers more, so this will be a good incentive for that. Um, and I think like paint that probably doesn't require a lot of water. I've used those Dreamland watercolor ones in her tarot book, which I don't know if it's the same type of paper, but I've had a lot of luck with those. But they are more of like a solid color. I'm not basing, I'm like coloring in with them. So maybe, like I said, using a paint or something and not trying to get a smooth base is the way I need to go. I love that picture with the little fox and whatever it is he's touching noses with. This is a very cute book. I was saying while I was flipping through this that if I had to like pick maybe my top five Lulu Mayo books for some reason, this would be in my top five. It is very cute and good timing for like Valentine's Day, and I think that's upcoming here in a few months. Very cute book. And I don't normally like the lovey-dovey stuff, but this is very adorable. Um, but what I was saying about Leroy is he uh, he has stomatitis, which is like inflammation in his gums. It can cause a lot of pain. Cats that have it tend to lose some or all their teeth in their lifetime because they can have like a overactive immune response and it causes a lot of inflammation in their gums. Um, he's 7 or 8 and he's had a lot of teeth removed. For a moment, I want to say that picture with the feathers and the mice and the cats, like it, the composition of that picture is very, like, it feels fluffy, it feels soft. Like, I really like the composition of that picture. Um, but he's lost, quite a few teeth, but not all of them. But it cats that have that, you have to be a little extra cautious if they get like upper respiratory infections or anything that could cause that autoimmune response to kick off and like cause flare-ups. And because all of that congestion's in his nose and stuff, I've really been trying to watch him. Fortunately, it's not doesn't seem to be causing him any pain or issues where he can't eat. It's mostly I don't think he can smell the food, but he's been eating well. So that's been one of the reasons we haven't, it's not been necessarily an emergency. But it is something I did read online that, if you have a cat with that, you probably want to be a little extra vigilant if they wind up with, upper respiratory infection. But he got an antibiotic shot this morning, a steroid shot. He has amoxicillin to take. Thankfully, I think the steroid has caused some of the inflammation to go down because, like, just now he was in a big sneezing fit. I don't know if the microphone picked it up, but it sounded clearer at least. Like, it wasn't as congested. So, one of the things I was saying on this section, oftentimes you can find Lulu Mayo books on like Book Outlet for a really good deal. Um, some of her earlier work, like A Million Cats, Dogs, Bears, Owls, looks a lot different than the stuff she's putting out now. I still like them. I don't have them all, but like I still like her Million Cats and Sloths and I think Unicorns, but just know if you like her current style, you might want to look at a flip through of her earlier books before you pick them up, because they are kind of different in how they're drawn. So, like, if you like her current style, you might prefer the Puppies book as opposed to her Dogs book. So just a little note there, just over the years of experience of collecting her books. I love all her art. It's been great to see her change as an artist over the years. That's been one of the neatest things, I think, with coloring so long, is I've seen a lot of artists like change their style over the years, and that's been a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, I just wanted to flag that because I happened to see this. She also has a Kawaii Tarot book that I mentioned that's not in the Million Creatures series. It's a little bigger and it's kind of one-sided, kind of. There's like text on the other side. I don't think the paper's exactly the same, but that's also a really enjoyable book. And I'm not even a big tarot person, but I like that a lot. And so keep in mind she also has that one. And yeah, so there's that. All right, so I don't know. I might be able to at least, I might put out a coloring chat tomorrow. If I don't do it tomorrow, it's going to be a while. So here's the thing. I am still out of sorts. I've been since mid-October. Honestly, it was before that I was barely hanging on, and like Big Hero passing away was kind of the final straw. And I'm still struggling a lot. And I'd like to go into that into a color chat a little bit, and talk about what all's been going on, but we'll see. I just haven't had the energy to color. I don't want to color sitting in the living room, and I even less want to sit in my office unless I have to work, you know? I've been crocheting more than I've been coloring at this point. And so because of that, I don't know when I'm going to get back to it. It's a break. I'm not, I don't think I'm done by a long shot. I've had breaks before, but it's been a long time since I've felt this disconnected, and I've kind of just lost my mojo. Um, so videos are probably still going to be inconsistent for a while yet. I am putting a pause on the Halloween All Year Long Deborah Muller project. I got the pages for October halfway done before everything fell apart, and I'm not getting rid of the project. We're just putting it on pause until I'm ready to start looking at plans for a month, like things I want to color in a month. I don't want to start that project back up. So, but you know, hey, it is what it is. Things happen. It will get done one day, which would be great. But I do want to note that, and I'm going to try to update that on social media for those of you that have been participating. And yeah, but like I said, I may have it in me to just do a color and chat tomorrow. But the way work is, if I don't do it tomorrow, maybe next weekend. We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.